Hello, everybody, and welcome to our masterclass today, Cultivating Your Intuition. I'm Michelle Hawk, and it is my great joy to share this knowledge, this practices, these awarenesses with you. And thank you. I know we've got some people on here who have been to masterclasses before. Thank you for tuning in. And to those of you who are new, welcome. This is your first. If you're joining us, go ahead and settle on in, get comfortable, and I ask that you mute yourself to keep the audio quality super high. So thank you as you are tuning in. We're just getting started. I'd love to give you all a little bit of a heads up so you can mark your calendars for next month's masterclass. This is, again, another free hour-long masterclass full of amazing content, and it is on Tuesday, September 11th, from 10 to 11 a.m. So go ahead and mark your calendars. Tuesday, September 11th from 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. And our topic for next month is Empowered Empath, from surviving to thriving. So I'll leave that there for now, but I know a lot of us tuning in have been in that, how am I in survival state and how do I manage my empath sensitivities as a highly sensitive person, and how do I go from that managing and getting by coping state to actually thriving in the world. So that's where we'll be going next month on Tuesday the 11th of September, but for today we're sticking with our intuition. So to give you an idea of what this is about and what we're talking about today, I began these master classes last December, I believe was the first one, and I've been doing them every month since. This is my free offering to you. This is a deep heart offering, and this is a chance for you to engage with me and engage with this body of knowledge in a different kind of way. There have been a handful of master classes now. I think this is like number 8 or 9, and they're all on something different. They're all on something related to this path and this practice. So I encourage you to go ahead and look back at the other ones in case you missed any. There's some amazing content there. And this is, again, the intuition aspect, cultivating your intuition. This is something that is deeply relevant, I think, and we'll get into why is this important, not only for us as practitioners, but actually for all people and all beings on earth. So this is a deep passion of mine of aligning us with this innate sensitivity in a way that will support us in shepherding in that new earth that we're all working for. So thank you for joining today. No big deal, as we are, again, bringing in that new paradigm frequency. No problem. So today we'll discuss, I'd love to give you an outline of what we're talking about. We're going to talk about what is intuition, like straight up, what is it and how does it work? Because I think that's really interesting. Why it matters, again, for not only us as practitioners and for all humans, but for all beings. And we'll talk about how to access it and how to work with it. And at the end of our time today, I'm going to give you some tools and practices to take away, some pieces of awareness, and then some practical applications so that you can sit with this yourself. And at the end of our conversation today, I do have an invitation for you. So let's go ahead and get started with a little bit of a meditation to just drop in and allow ourselves to fully arrive in the space. I invite you to go ahead and set down anything you're holding so your hands are free, and allow yourself to settle on in to a space of comfort and close your eyes. Allowing yourself to fully arrive in the body with a breath. Exhale with a sigh, allowing yourself to come to a space of receptivity. Again, deep inhale. Following your awareness inside your body. And exhale with a sigh, allowing yourself to soften and feel into a space of deeper awareness. Continuing with this flow of your breath, allowing this rhythm of gentle inhale and soft exhale to carry you again into that space of openness and receptivity. And I invite you now to tune into your subtle body awareness. Take a moment to just be inside your cells and notice what sensations are there. And as you breathe into this cellular awareness, let's issue an invitation for expansion and softening. And we can imagine for a moment that our bodies are a open, receptive container. And you can imagine this like perhaps a beautiful bowl in your hands, maybe holding your hands cupped in your lap to symbolize that openness. And we're creating an invitation as this receptive container to allow our intuition to come more to the forefront of our awareness. Your intuition is already there, it's already in your awareness. And when you create a container for it to go, we get to work with it a little more intentionally, a little more on purpose. And let's go ahead and do that now, inviting the energy of our intuitive connection to flow into your cupped hands in your lap, holding them like a bowl. Until you feel that that awareness is full to the brim in your palms. And let's go ahead and bring the cupped hands up and place over the heart. Take a deep breath into the heart. Feeling that intention of collecting your intuitive awareness to flow into your heart space. And noticing what sensations arise when you concentrate your intuition in your heart. Take a moment and simply breathe here. And let's offer ourselves an internal deep bow of gratitude for taking this time for this practice today. Go ahead and give yourself a hug, wrap your arms around yourself, offer yourself so much love and gratitude for taking this time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And gently bringing yourself back to your conscious awareness, wiggling your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come on back. Welcome back, everybody. Go ahead and make any notes that you'd like in your journal, and we'll take a moment if anyone would like to go ahead and unmute themselves to share anything like that, what that was like, or actually go ahead and chat into the chat box. I think that's a good way that we can see if anyone has anything to share. I like that meditation. I'm glad that was recorded. You can go back and listen to it later. That happens whenever I lead meditations, is I think, oh, that's good. I need to go do that meditation now. So as you're taking a moment to make any notes in your journal, or again, feel free to chat anything into the chat box. Let us know how that went. I'd love to start feeling into this. Our class is a little bit shorter today. I've switched from 90 minutes to an hour, and so we'll be moving through this because we do have a lot to talk about. But again, please feel free to chat yourself in. So as we're bringing that practice to the heart, I think I invite all of you to actually return to that practice. Maka says, for me, the quality of energy changed. It became more dense and calm. Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you. Good awareness. Wonderful. So when we bring that intuition into the heart, this is one thing that I would like for you to put a little star by in your notes, is that so often I think we associate the intuition with the third eye, or with the upper realms up here about sight and perception. And yet the heart is one of the easiest places for us to access our intuition. Know that yes, there is the intuitive connection through the sight, through the sound, through the third eye. And yet, if you are either beginning in your practice or looking to cultivate your intuition more deeply, I highly encourage you to bring it into the heart space. So that's why we did that in this meditation today, to really on purpose create that receptive vessel, focus our intuition in the hands, and that's a nice visualization, and then put it in the heart to really concentrate it here and make this the source from which we are practicing our intuitive abilities. So what is intuition? Let's delve into this a little bit. I feel like everybody talks about it, everybody knows. We have these associations about, kind of old-timey associations. Oh, a woman's intuition, or like, some people are intuitive, meaning like they always know that something's going to happen. But what actually is it? And when I was considering, I've taught a variety of classes on intuition, and I mentor people in cultivating their intuition. And what, to me, it really comes down to is the idea of it is the natural state of universal energetic communication. This is, if I could define intuition, to me, it would be, again, the natural state of universal energetic communication. This is something that is not unique to humans, not unique to, woke people who are doing this work, not unique to anyone. This is ubiquitous among all beings. This is something that, yes, humans have. This is something that animals have. This is something that plants have. This is again, if we're looking at it from this state of natural, universal energetic communication, this is something that is the energetic Esperanto, if you will, like the language that we all connect with. And that being said, the language without words, the language that connects with the purest, most essential state of being. So in looking at it that way, it is the means with which we are interacting with not only each other, but with all things and all beings. Now, this is, we think of intuition, I think, very commonly when we're thinking about psychic practice, or we're thinking about, using our intuitive abilities. And I have a lot of people come to me wanting intuitive readings. That's something that I used to offer more of, and I offer much less of that now, because I'm way more interested in supporting them in cultivating their intuition, which is why you're here today. So know that it's funny. I enjoy that practice. I enjoy that conversation now, where someone comes to me and asks like, hey, will you do a reading on XYZ? And I'm like, nope, but I'm going to help you do that, and help you ask the right questions. So the way that we're using our intuition, again, there's this association with psychic practice, and yet when we're looking at our intuition purely from the communication perspective, our intuition is the vehicle through which we perceive information from the collective field. I'll say that again because I think it's important. Our intuition is the vehicle through which we perceive collective information from the field. It's the way, imagine that, around us, all around us, energetically, universally in the world and in a cosmic awareness, there is this grid, this field. And our intuition is the means with which we tune in and access. It's our cosmic email account. It's the way that we get messages and the way that we send messages and information on a very, very subtle level. This is super subtle communication. And so it's, again, not unique to anyone. Absolutely anyone can do this. This is what I tell people who are, again, wanting me to do a reading for them. I'm like, no, you can do this. And we're going to practice it. And I'm going to teach you how, because this is a fundamental right as being a part of this universal power grid. When we're plugged into the grid, when we're plugged into this network of communication, we have that access. And it's really just a matter of allowing ourselves to have it and practicing, like learning how to use your email account, right? By the way, you have a universal email account. It's all set up for you. All you have to do is, you don't need a password. All you have to do is learn how to operate this new system and you'll be good to go. So think of it like that. It works through resonant frequencies, so when we're using this idea of the vehicle for perceiving information from the field, the way that this comes about is through, everything that exists in the universe exists internally. We are the microcosms of the greater macrocosm. We have everything within us that is within all things. And so if you think of, there's a lot of, I'm not a quantum physicist by any means, and yet I like geeking out on these articles. And there's all sorts of things that they're discovering about, when you make a particle do something over here and you have this other particle over here, it starts doing this thing too. Or you strike a tuning fork and you have another tuning fork and the second fork starts vibrating because of resonant frequencies, because of this interconnection, because of this again, this fundamental state of being that we are all a part of this collective field. And so when we're using our intuition, we're not accessing anything outside of us. This is one thing I'd really like to underscore, the idea of where does intuition come from? There are different schools of thought on this, and yet I really, really like to approach this from the perspective of our intuition comes from our internal connection to everything. If we look at everything externally exists internally and vice versa, we don't actually need to go looking outside ourselves for any intuitive information. We just need to look inside. We need to come into our internal awareness. I feel like I can't emphasize that enough because we live in a society that emphasizes go research, go ask people, go research, go look, do reading, go outside yourself. And yet from this place, from this philosophy of I am the reflection of all that is, I don't actually need to go externally to find answers or to have information or to have somebody tell me something. I need to go internally because, again, I am the reflection of all that is. I already know everything I need to know. I already have access to everything that could possibly ever exist ever through the internal awareness. So intuition, and from the school of thought that we're practicing today, is really about cultivating that internal awareness with the resonant frequencies that are already in you. This is something that, we all hold the signatures, the energetic signatures of everything that exists. We hold it. And sometimes it's in the forefront and sometimes it's not, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. So we hold the signatures of pain and of joy and of grief and of happiness and of everything that ever was and everything that will ever be. We've got it already. So bringing that internally is really the best way that we can go about doing this. And I say that because a lot of people, when we're looking at cultivating the intuition, is like, oh, well, I don't know who my guides are. I hear this a lot. Or like, I want to use my intuition to find answers about XYZ, or I want to use my intuition. And I've definitely been in this place too. And sometimes I still go there of like, why can't my guides tell me what to do? And it's like, well, it's not really about your guides telling you what to do. It's about you accessing that internal awareness from that space of knowing that you are supported and held and loved by your guides. It's a little bit different. And yet it puts us in a place of greater agency, greater responsibility, and greater empowerment to know that everything that we need to know is already within us. And our intuition is already here. All we have to do is look this way. Notice I keep pointing at the heart. Why do you think I do that? Remember that meditation we did a couple minutes ago? Come back here, come back to the heart. It's all there. So we are already connected with this. Our intuition is, for the purposes of this conversation, it's already there, everything we need. And it matters because this is the way that we participate in active relationship with all things. Again, we do not live in isolation. We live in a world that would have us believe that. We live in a world that has taught us that we are separate, that I live in this body, which is separate from other people's bodies, which is separate from the couch I'm sitting on, which is separate from the birds outside, which is separate from XYZ. And there is useful, practical consideration for that understanding. And it is not super helpful when we're doing energy work, when we're doing practice, and when we're coming into heart-centered state of being. In this case, and for the purposes of our intuition, it is more useful to know that I am, and so are you. And we're both the I am, and we're all the I am, and this is all the I am. And that's way more fun. It's way more useful. And it's the way that we get to participate with each other in this realm. The way that we can meet each other through our intuition is through acknowledging from that space, again, pointing at the heart, from the heart space, from the connection, from all of the reasons why we are the same. And all of the reasons why we get to engage with the world in this way. The active relationship that we cultivate with all things comes from our intuition, and it comes from that awareness of internal being. It is the connection down to the most fundamental pieces and the fundamental level. Again, we're talking like pure energy right here. The universal, fundamental, everything is the same when you get down to the energetic level. And it is through this that we are using the intuition. And this is, I really hope that we can all imagine reasons why this would be useful and necessary to extrapolate out to our greater collective consciousness. Because when we're in touch with our intuition and we're in touch with all of the reasons why we're the same, obviously the only reason why any atrocities or any of these incredibly cruel behaviors that we come up with, the only reason they come into play is when we're not connected with that. When we have decided, okay, I'm separate. Okay, the things that I do and say and think and feel don't affect other people and other beings. That is the thing that gives us the excuse to be cruel, to create pain, to cause harm. Because we don't understand that the harm that we inflict externally is harm inflicted internally, and vice versa. And so know that the antidote to suffering is connection. The antidote to all of the things that we see in the world, from people separating families and being cruel to animals and polluting the environment, and all of these things that we see come from that separation. Separation is the fundamental wounding of humanity, and connection is the antidote to that. And it is through connection that we access our intuition. So know that these things are all fundamentally related. So the more that we can be in our intuition and be in that connection, the more we vibrate that resonant frequency out into the field, and people do receive it. There are people who will never have this awareness in their lives, who will never consciously choose to cultivate their intuition, who will never seek out this connection, and yet they will benefit from you being here in this class. They will benefit from you doing this work for yourself in every moment. Because again, we're all a part of the collective field. And for some humans, it is not their work to do this. It is not their work to be here and to know themselves as God and to know themselves as this connected state of being. And that's okay. We can love them too. And for some of us, this is our work. For some of us, we are choosing to cultivate and access this intuition, access this connection in order to be of service to ourselves and to all beings. Because again, by serving ourselves, we serve all beings and vice versa. So there's a lot that we can go into here, and I feel myself very easily wanting to talk about the universal implications of why the heck are we doing what we're doing, and I do want to focus some time on giving you some practical tools. So let's table that discussion for now and know that there's plenty of philosophy behind the work that we're doing today. So we can access our intuition through the senses, through a variety of means. And I think this is really commonly known through the clairs. And I'm sure, if you want to chat in your favorite clair or the clair that most resonates with you, or maybe if people want to chat in the one that they feel most resonant with. So like clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant, claircognizant. Is this, and let me know if this is new or if this is familiar to you. I am going to go through them a little more deeply, but I'm kind of curious, where does that land for you? So the clairs, when we're, again, I'm calling them the clairs, all of these terms, totally new. Okay, great, awesome. I'm going to go more in depth into all of these. So these are the different access points for our intuition. So clairvoyant is, I think, one of the most commonly known ones, and that is clear sight. So when we're looking at, like, clair is clear. Okay, so clairvoyant is clear sight. So if you go see someone, I think that word is probably the most commonly known one out of all of them. You go see a clairvoyant. This is someone who has the clear sight, who accesses their intuition through the vision. And this is, again, one of the most commonly known ones of people who have visions or people who see things. I see dead people. Okay, that's a clairvoyant experience. And somebody who accesses the intuition through the vision, through the sight. This is, I think, one of the big sexy pieces of intuition. It's the one that people want to have, of like, I want to have cool visions. And honestly, it's not the easiest one. So I'm gonna put that right there, of it is probably not the one to start with. Maybe it's already happening for you. Maybe you already see things. Awesome. And if it's something that is relatively new to you, I actually really encourage you, again, go back to the heart, go back to the feeling. This is the easiest one. This is the one that is that people access without even knowing. People who are wildly, wildly intuitive. Again, everyone is intuitive. Let's say that right there. Every single person is intuitive. And some people would never own it in a million years. And yet they know exactly what's going on because they have gut feelings or they feel things in their body. Like, my father is a really good example of this. He is insanely intuitive. He knows exactly what the deal is and what's going on, and he feels everything. And I don't think he would ever acknowledge that. And yet again, I know how deeply attuned he is to these frequencies, and it's almost entertaining to see this and know, like, okay, I know what you're doing. We access that in a different way. That's awesome. My brother is another example of this, as someone who is deeply, radically intuitive, and I don't think he would. He might own that a little bit. He owns that he talks to animals, so that's a step. But the way that we access this, again, let's start with the body, because this is the easy one. So clairsentience, clear sensing, clairsentience, and that's clairsentience, clairsentience, clear sensing. So again, this is the number one easy access point, is go into the body, go into the heart, go into the feeling. And we all know what this is like. I'm sure feeling for you. Awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, feeling for you is the easy access point. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This is, again, I'm 100% sure, even if this is a new idea, that you have had this experience where you get the hair on your arm starts to stand up and your heartbeat starts quickening and you're not sure why. And you get a body feeling, maybe about someone comes into the room or someone comes into your field, or about, someone says something to you and it makes your gut churn or it makes your heart squeeze, because you know that something around that is out of alignment, or maybe there's a perceived threat. This is one of the easiest ways to identify our intuition, is if there is a safety concern. And so go ahead and chat in if you've ever had this experience of something causes your body to have a reaction in some way. Either your palms start sweating, or your neck starts prickling, or your face gets really hot, or your heart starts beating, or something shows up in your body to show you something. There is some message associated with this, either something that is out of alignment, something that is unsafe, something that is that has a lot of energy around it, something that has strong emotion attached to it. We feel it in the body. And we feel this with empathy. Empathy is another access point of our intuition, where we see someone feeling something deeply and we feel something deeply. That's intuition right there. Empathy, the connection. Because remember that intuition is the natural state of universal energetic communication. So when I feel something deeply, so perhaps I connect deeply with animals, and I meet an animal who is in pain, or I meet an animal who had a traumatic experience, or I meet an animal who is having a great day, and then I connect that and I feel what they're feeling. This is intuition. This is a point of connection in that energetic communication, feeling it in the body, feeling it in the emotional field. This kinesthetic awareness is, I think, one of the easiest access points of tune into the body awareness, the kinesthesia, the clairsentience. And we can also do this through the body senses of scent and taste, any sensation, any tingling in the body, any organ awareness, any movement of energy in the physical form is a part of that clairsentience. We also have, again, clairvoyance. This is the one that I think it's known for. And again, I call it the big sexy of the clairs, of the intuition, because people want to have dramatic visions, or it's cool or whatever. And it's, yeah, great. Do whatever you want with that. Ask for that to be cultivated. And that's a piece of advice I'll circle back to later, is asking if that's something that you want to cultivate. It is within your power to do so. And if it's not the easiest access point for you, that's okay too. Please know that, and I feel like I want to share, it's funny, I have a lot of people who have some charge around that, of either I really, really want to see things, or I really, really don't want to see things because I don't want it to scare me. I invite you again to know that your intuition is already on. It's already working. You are already participating in this. Again, if you're here, especially, you're already 10 steps down the path of working with your intuition, at least. And know that there is nothing that is going to come to you that you cannot handle. I'm not sure why I feel the need to share that with you. Maybe somebody needs to hear it. Is there is nothing that is coming to you that you can't handle. You are safe to do this. You are okay to do this. You're not going to get thrown out of whack by tuning into your inner awareness. Because remember, our intuition is coming internally. It's not anything outside of us. When we're, let's kind of look at what is happening here for a moment. So imagine, I'll share an example with you of, I was working with a client recently who had some compression injury in the neck. and I felt the compression injury in my neck, and I could tell, like, okay, it's like in this range of vertebrae, like C6, C7-ish, and it feels like this, and it has this flavor to it, like this energetic flavor. And it wasn't like I felt like I had a compression injury in my neck. It wasn't like I got knocked out of that. It's not like, oh, if you work on somebody with a, you know, terrible, terrible pain, you don't feel that. You feel the resonant frequency of it. Or if you're witnessing something or is having a vision of something traumatic that happened, you're witnessing the resonant frequency in your own field. There's a difference. It's not like you're taking it on. That's a different masterclass. Actually, that's probably the next masterclass about empowered empath, from surviving to thriving, so that we don't take on the stuff that we are experiencing and we let it move through the field. So I hope that that landed for whoever that needed to land for. It felt like there was a safety component necessary. So please know that you are safe to do this work. You can do this, and it's great. Just have fun with it and enjoy it. We also have clairaudience. This is another really well-known one, and this is sound, clairaudience. What do we hear? And this comes through in the form of, you know, people hear voices, people hear tones, people hear music, people hear words very particularly. I find this to be the case sometimes in channeling practice, or sometimes intuitive messages come through very clearly, word for word, this thing. And sometimes it comes through in different ways. And dreaming meditation state is another really common one, another common access point of, I have a lot of clients who do dream work, that is their primary intuitive practice, and messages come through while they're dreaming, and then they wake up and they write them down. Or when you're in that meditative state and allowing yourself to open more further or more freely. The dreaming and the meditation state, though, I will add, is not a clair in itself, but it is an access point for the means with which intuition can come to you. So the dreaming meditation state is an access point for the visual experience, for the sensory experience, for the auditory experience. We also have claircognizance, which is just knowing, like you just know. Like I don't have any sensation around that. I don't have any vision. I just know that thing. So if you're interested in exploring that, there are resources out there on the clairs, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairolience, like the smell one. And I invite you to sit with that and set it aside. So know that it's part of the understanding, the intellectualizing of this process. And that's something that we like to do as humans, because we like to think about things, and we're all here because we like to learn. And yet it's not actually the piece that you need in order to do this work. It's like the difference between knowing how an engine works and being able to drive a car. So I would rather be able to drive the car than to know the ins and outs of an internal combustion engine. So let the clair piece be the engine functionality and kind of like set it aside, and then let this be the driving the car. So when we're working with our intuition, and I guess I'll take a little pause. Are there any questions about that? Go ahead and chat them into the box. Any questions or comments? How is that feeling for the people for whom that was new? Does that make more sense? Is that landing well? Clarity. Okay. Great. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Beautiful. Great. Go ahead and keep chatting in as things come up. And let's see. So working with our intuition, this is the primary piece that I would like to offer you. These are kind of the practical action steps for what we do. Michelle, now that we know all this, what do we do with it? Number one, and I feel like I say this a lot, and yet it's still my best piece of advice, is cultivate your awareness. Simply paying attention is honestly one of the most foundational tools in being a light worker and doing energetic practice, is just paying attention. It's like the most simple and yet the most challenging thing. Stupid easy. And so building our sensitivity and allowing is what comes from that awareness. Imagine when, if we're, for example, knowing that the heart and the body is the easiest access point for us to tune into that intuition, how can we know if we're not paying attention? How can we allow any messages to come in if we're not present in the awareness of what is my baseline heart state like? And then how do I notice when it deviates from baseline, and then how do I then interpret that? So let's kind of talk about what that looks like for a moment. So I invite you to remember what it was like to bring your intuitive awareness into your heart. That practice that we did right at the very beginning, where you on purpose created a receptive bowl of your intuition and you placed it in your heart. And remember what that felt like. That was you bringing your attention, your awareness into your heart. And from this space of awareness, we would then be way more able to notice any differences that come about, any shifts or changes when you're in that heightened sensitivity. It is that allows us to kind of register, oh, I feel this move through me. Is it mine or is it not mine? Okay, it's not mine. It's an intuitive thing that's moving through. Okay, it's moving out. That is a very typical experience of having an intuitive hit, for lack of a better word. Intuitive hit, that's what I call them. So cultivating your awareness, simply paying attention, and whatever means that takes for you, I really invite you to actually sit with that practice that we did at the very beginning of bringing your intuition into your heart and then breathing into that and simply noticing what is happening in my heart right now. What do I feel right now? And practicing that space of awareness. Taking your personal time, cultivating a personal practice is going to support you hugely in this. Number 2 is trust. So if number 1 is awareness, number 2 is trust. In terms of how to work with intuition, trust, trust, trust. There are no wrong answers. There is no wrong information. So know that when you are tuning into your intuition, there is nothing that is wrong about what you are feeling. There is either new information or validated information. Everything that we're perceiving and feeling is a resonant frequency. And it's part of the practice of tuning in the dial of refining. If we've got the radio of collective frequencies, how do we know which one we're getting? Is by cultivating that awareness and sensitivity and tuning the dial. So this takes a lot of practice, honestly. Like that's, I guess I'll insert a little gold asterisk right here and say, just practice the heck out of this and just be present with this a lot. And there is no shortcut. I'd love to tell you there's a shortcut, there's an easy trick. There's not. Just do it a million times. And that is how you will cultivate that practice and that awareness. Number 3 is surrender. This one is a little bit interesting to think about, and yet I think it's really important whenever we're working with intuition, is surrendering into that experience. And allowing, when we have the awareness, is like, okay, I'm paying attention. We have the trust, all right, I trust myself. And then number 3, surrender. Okay, I'm going to allow myself to fully receive this experience. And I'm going to relax into it and let it move through me. This is one of the important pieces about, remember we talked about how not to have things get stuck or not to take things on. You got to move it through. Any intuitive awareness that is coming to us or anything that we are perceiving or feeling is usually not meant to stay in the body and in the awareness. It is meant to be moved through, and we do that with the state of surrender. When we have, and I think this is an experience that is really quite common to practitioners, especially newer practitioners. I definitely went through this phase where I would have these really beautiful visions, and I would have these experiences that were so powerful and so visceral and made me feel really connected and really excited, and I wanted to hold on to them. I wanted to keep them. I wanted to make sure I remembered every detail of these visions and make sure that I remembered the sensations and really just keep it, hold on to it like this. That's not how intuition is meant to work. Intuition is meant to flow through us because it's a part of that ongoing communication. The vision that appeared to me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever it was, I'm not the same person. I'm not interacting with the same energies. So that vision is no longer, I don't need to hold it. I can remember it and I can work with it and I can let it be a part of my consciousness and I can allow myself to access those pieces, and yet holding on to our intuitive information stagnates the flow. So let it move through you. Even if it's the most beautiful vision in the world, and maybe you just had this experience where you're, just so in awe of this experience. Great, journal about it and then breathe it through you. Don't keep it, because when we keep these energies in the field, when we hold onto it, we stagnate the flow and we block more things coming through. So that surrender part is let ourselves be the clear channel, let ourselves be the vessel to allow this information to flow through with ease and grace. And that's actually a part of what I just said right there, was a part of the intention that I set for myself every single time I open a container, anytime I'm working with somebody, anytime I am doing a class, anytime I am doing anything at all. I begin with a little prayer for myself that includes, please allow me to be a clear channel to allow these messages, energies, and information to flow through me with ease and grace. Flow through. Not hold on to, not keep it. We surrender. Number 4 is action. This is the part that is necessary to ground our intuitive messages into the physical plane. Now, let me clarify here. Action is not necessarily go out and make a clear change in life. It might be, but action can be as simple as acknowledgement. Just a thank you message received. Or thank you, I feel that awareness. That's it. That can be an action. Or it might be something a little more concrete. So this is how, imagine, kind of the analogy of everybody's in touch with their intuition, right? And if you have a friend who is telling you things and engaging with you and giving you advice and tuning in with you, and you ignore them every single time, they're probably going to stop engaging with you. They're probably going to not want to talk to you anymore. And this is the same as intuition. It is our active communication, our vehicle through which we take agency and perceive information and have this active relationship with the collective field. So if we're doing that from a place of like, okay, I'm not doing anything about it, I'm not engaging with, I'm not like saying thank you, I'm not enjoying it, it's gonna stagnate and it's going to shut off. So just be in action around it. Remember that intuition is something to be used and engaged with. So whether that action step involves, say, for example, that you receive an intuitive hit around, oh, it would be a really good idea for me to go talk to this person, for example, or it would be a good idea for me to read this book or organize my office in a different way or whatever, and then you don't do anything about it. Okay, the message might come through again, or it might just stagnate in the field if you don't act on it. So maybe you do go talk to that person or read that book or organize your office differently. Or maybe you acknowledge and say, thank you, I appreciate that information, and right now I'm choosing not to do that, but I still acknowledge that the message was received and now I move it through. That can be an action step that you take to, again, actively participate and own your sovereignty, take your agency as maybe I don't want to go talk to that person right now. And that's okay. Or maybe I don't feel like organizing my office right now. I like it the way it is, but I am acknowledging and thanking and allowing that message to move through and give me another idea later. Tell me to do that when I'm less busy or whatever the deal is. Let's go ahead and, again, please go ahead and ask if there are any questions you have about that. I know we're moving through this kind of quickly and I'm giving you a lot of information. The tools that I would offer to you, I'm going to go ahead and keep going as people chat in. The Acknowledgement as action. Yes, absolutely. Just even like, thank you for asking. The letting the attention and the action of saying thank you or saying, just allowing that it came into the field is enough. Great. Tools, body awareness would be a number one tool that I would offer to you. Cultivating a personal practice that includes taking time to be in your body. Whether that is, maybe you have a Qigong practice, maybe you have a dance practice or running practice or a stretching or a yoga practice or some sort of body awareness where your attention is internal, because again, it helps you cultivate that baseline, that intuitive baseline. When we know this is what my body feels like normally, this is what my heart feels like normally, then we're able to more easily perceive, oh, something is different now. Or some energy has come into my field that feels distinct. So number one awareness, or number one practice is a body awareness practice. And then number two, I would really like to invite you to consider the idea that you can just ask to have this practice be elevated for you. I know all of you are here because you want to elevate your intuition practice. You want to cultivate this practice. And hopefully some of these tools are helpful. But I also invite you to just sit down, have a talk with yourself, and issue a straight up ask. Like, I ask that my intuitive abilities be enhanced with ease and grace. I ask to be more in touch with my sight, my clairvoyance. I ask that I enhance my abilities of clairaudience. And by issuing that invitation to yourself, you will be more aware of it. You will bring it into your field more. I hope that makes sense. And honestly, yes, it can be that simple. So please go ahead and have some fun with that. I'll take one more moment. If anybody has any questions or comments, go ahead and chat in the box. Great one. Asking. Yes, absolutely. Just, whether it's a conversation with your guides or whether it's an internal awareness, yeah, just ask. For sure. This was, and I'd like to offer this as a suggestion in all practices, of whether it's with your intuition or whether it's with finding a mentor or whether it's with, I don't even know, like being more aware of your other healing gifts or getting more organized in your office or whatever. Just ask. Say like, hey, whether it's you're asking your guides or you're asking yourself, hey, please help me. I would like support in this and I'm asking for this thing to come about. You're setting your intention internally. One more minute for any questions or comments before we close. I know that was kind of fast today, again, but a lot to talk about, and I think everybody got some good tools and practices out of that. I'm wondering what was the most lit up part of that? If anyone feels called to go ahead and chat in, what thing did you hear or learn that felt really appropriate or exciting or inspiring to you? Can I repeat my prayer? The ask prayer? Is that what you're asking about? The flow. Around the, what I say when I'm doing my practice, that's what you're asking about? Please, yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Please allow me to be a clear channel. And hold on, I can't say it when I'm thinking about it. Help me to be a clear channel, and please allow these messages, information, and energies to flow through me with ease and grace. And it'll be on the recording too, so you can go back and listen to that. Beautiful. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, beautiful. Well, let's go ahead and close. Speaking of closing our container here today, I would like to offer you an invitation. If this is something that you are interested in doing more on purpose, if this is something that you're interested in claiming and interested in rediscovering this practice for yourself, I would like to invite you to apply for spiritual mentorship with me. This is something that I am offering. This is something that I am practicing, and I have some amazing people that I'm working with. And if this is you, if you would like to come into greater awareness and fully reclaim your innate gifts, your innate sense of self, and your innate offering to the world. I would love to speak with you. So please go ahead and look out in your email. I'll be sending an email later today that has the recording from our call today, from this class. It will also have the link to register for next month's call, and it will have that invitation. And that invitation is called I Am Medicine. This is a private mentorship, private spiritual mentorship with me, one-on-one, to help you come into the fullest expression of your authentic self as who you are and who you are meant to be. Helping you expand your gifts, cultivate your intuition, and build your practice so that you can be a more effective human and more effective change maker in the world. If this is something that resonates with you, let's talk ASAP. These spots are almost full in my work that begins in September. So if this is something that calls to you, please reach out to me as soon as possible and we will get you on the calendar. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for the great questions and comments. Thank you for your time. You're welcome. You are so, so welcome. Thank you for joining all of us today. It is such a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for stepping into your intuition and cultivating that awareness. Remember, number one piece of advice is awareness. Number one. From there, everything else flows more easily. So if you do nothing else, cultivate that practice and allow yourself to be in your body, be in your awareness. I like the steps to work with it. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. It's that, start here and kind of go from there and know that the awareness is the foundation that allows you to build the rest of your practice. Thank you so much. I'm sending you all so much love and gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And stay tuned for an email from me later today. Talk to you later.